Welcome back. So U.S. President Donald Trump has officially returned to the Oval Office and has vowed to ensure that America becomes great again. Trump was sworn in as the 47th President of the United States, coming back following his presidency in 2017. We get some analysis now, and we're joined by international relations expert Thembisa Fakude. Thembisa, good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. My goodness, there's so much to talk about because there's so much that we heard in that inauguration speech by U.S. President. But I'm keen to hear, just suppose, your overall view on the tone of that speech. Did he present a strong image as a president? What you make of it? I mean, a lot of people talking about how we're seeing as many as 100 executive orders signed by U.S. President.
Yeah, it's kind of very strange. It's a man who's intent on paying revenge and on showing off his power. I don't think it was that urgent for him to announce all of these changes that he's going to be making in America, and the fact that he was reading, basically reading every word that was saying, it means that this is not something that he fully believes in, and he has kind of rehearsed over the months that he has been campaigning and eventually become the president. This is a speech that was written to him, and I think he didn't have time to really read and practice it. But some interesting things that came out of the speech for me was the realization of Martin Luther King's dream. I think that's very positive. And I think many African Americans will be kind of encouraged by those statements. But of course, it's bad news for the millions, as I said, of immigrants or illegal immigrants who are currently in the United States. There's going to be a lot of violations, as far as I'm concerned, of rights of those people who are either legal or illegal in that country. Basically, weaponization of targeting the illegal immigrants or immigrants in the United States. We're going to be seeing a lot of that happening. And Donald Trump is hell-bent at changing and speaking to the previous administration and telling them face-to-face, as the case at the moment, that they did a lot of things wrong.
Yeah, and the issue of immigration, not surprising that would be such a big theme in his inauguration speech, because it was such a big theme in certainly the campaigning towards this election. But the declaration of, I suppose, what we would look at as a state of emergency, for instance, at the southern border with Mexico, what do you think that means? And also there's the question around plausibility and feasibility of some of these executive orders, particularly around immigration.
Well, state of emergency means that the constitution and the law that ordinarily will be governing the people in the southern border will be suspended. So it's going to be Donald Trump's basically dictatorship and authoritarianism that's going to be prevailing in that part of the world, in terms of him trying to rectify whatever wrongs or mistakes have been taking place there, particularly on matters of illegal crossings into the United States. So it's bad news. So here's the man, a few minutes into power, is already coming up heavy-handed and depicting signs of dictatorship, of state of emergency, and him going full force in the southern border and deporting millions of people. I'm not quite sure whether in few minutes or hours that has been in power, they will have had enough time to actually scrutinize and look at the due process in terms of how to deport. I mean, there are systems in place, there are laws in place in the United States. You don't just arrest and deport. People have to go through a due process. And I think he forgot that part. But if he suspends certain laws that govern the southern states, he might as well be on his path of dictatorship and overlooking the law that has governed the democratic state of the United States for over the years.
Yeah, one thing that also stood out in that speech, and it was an interesting moment because also everyone is standing up, including former president now, Joe Biden, when Trump in that inauguration speech talked about how just before our inauguration we see the exchange of hostages in the Gaza conflict. What do you make of that? You know, that really, I mean, it's a pivotal moment, certainly from a global point of view. But he talks about how just a day or days before my inauguration, this takes place.
Well, it's true, and it was embarrassing for Joe Biden, even though, of course, he showed a straight, strong stand face when this was made when this announcement was made. But it's true that it was Donald Trump who actually forced the hand of Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli government to agree to this ceasefire. We know that the deal was presented to the Israelis in May, same deal that was prepared by Joe Biden and his team, but Benjamin Netanyahu disregarded that presentation, and it took Donald Trump a couple of hours before his inauguration to have this ceasefire enacted. So yes, you can arguably say that it was Donald Trump who actually turned or twisted the hand of Benjamin Netanyahu to agree to the ceasefire.
Another big theme, very hard to ignore this, and I did say to you in the ad break as well that this might be a talking point in the days that follow. In that inauguration speech, he says the US will recognize only two genders. Do you foresee a fallout where that particular comment is concerned?
Yes, I think that's going to invite protests, sustained protests. In fact, it just given a reason why there should be renewed protests. And I see that happening, particularly from people of, those who advocate for gender justice. You are likely to see ongoing protests in that regard because America has made certain inroads and successes in terms of gender parity and gender justice, and allowing people to live as they wish in terms of how they want to be related to. But Donald Trump, of course, got a different view, is taking a much more conservative position. And of course, I think it's informed by the elections. And he's been going around the country and people have been telling him certain things. And you see him agitating towards the extreme right when it comes to matters of gender justice.
Yeah, we're going to leave it there, Thembisa. We certainly could talk for a long time, but we'll get more analysis later on. We really do appreciate your time, Thembisa Fakude, there, international relations expert, giving us his reaction there too. President now of the US, and now once again, Donald Trump a little bit earlier on.